Enthusiasm. For more now, I want to bring in Ed Rendell, former Pennsylvania governor, former chair of the DNC, and Matt Schlapp. He's a former political director for George W. Bush. Governor, I'll start with you. I'm curious, as a Clinton supporter, you look at this investigation. We see the Clinton folks out there saying they're very happy. They think it's overdue. What do you hope comes out of this investigation?
Well, what I hope comes out of this investigation is some rules and regulations that make it clear that we cannot engage in this type of conduct that close to an election. No press conferences, certainly none within 60 days before an election. When I was a prosecutor, we never would have done anything like this within 60 days before an election. And I hope some very hard and fast rules, recommendations come out of this that changes the future. Did this Comey's announcement, the October surprise, cost Hillary Clinton the election? I think that's impossible to say. Did it have an effect? It sure did, Steve. The day prior to Comey's October surprise, Hillary Clinton was ahead in the Philadelphia suburbs by 22 points in two very reputable polls. She wound up on Election Day winning the Philadelphia suburbs by 11 points. Had she won by the original 22, she would have carried the state by over 50,000 votes.
And that's, we have numbers too. We're going to look into that question a little bit later in the show because I think it's a fascinating topic, and I think you're right. It probably is impossible to ever say for sure what one thing did or didn't swing an election. But Matt, let me ask you from a procedural standpoint, I guess, looking back now at that drama in the last few days of the campaign. 11 days out, James Comey comes out and says, hey, look, we got these Anthony Weiner emails. We're taking a new look. The whole political world kind of goes crazy. You had Donald Trump out there saying, look at this. The investigation's back open. This is a huge deal. And then a couple days after that, you had Comey basically saying, okay, that's it. It's over. We found nothing here. Looking back at it, as a matter of fairness, isn't there an argument to be made that maybe he should have never said anything in the first place?
I can understand why people say that, because it is unusual to have such a lightning bolt come from the sky that affects a race. But I just think it's amazing. Hillary Clinton broke the law. If anyone else had done what she did on the custody of her emails and handling classified information, which on multiple occasions she did not handle correctly, anyone else, and we've had people in the military and other people who have been in government, they've had the book thrown at them. And she did not. She got off for whatever reason. I could make all kinds of charges as to why she got off, but she got off. But in the end, what do you expect the FBI director to do when he finds a whole new cache of emails on a laptop that Hillary Clinton's #1 advisor finds in an investigation because her husband is some kind of online creep? You also can't make those facts up, and the FBI director had this thrown in his lap, and he really had no other choice but to investigate. The whole thing is tawdry, and Hillary Clinton has no one to blame but herself for the way she handled these emails. I worked in a White House. We all know there are protocols, and everyone's got to follow the law, even the Secretary of State.
We talk about this question of whether the Comey did the election. Something else you've heard from some Clinton folks, from some Democrats, the belief that the Russian involvement swung the election. Now we have this John Lewis, a congressman from Georgia, a longtime Democratic member of Congress. He said just a few hours ago to Chuck Todd he does not believe Donald Trump is a legitimate president. Take a listen to this.
You have forged relationships with many presidents. Do you plan on trying to forge a relationship with Donald Trump?
I believe in forgiveness. I believe in trying to work with people. It's going to be hard. It's going to be very difficult. I don't see this president-elect as a legitimate president.
You do not consider him a legitimate president? Why is that?
I think the Russians participated in having this man get elected, and they helped destroy the candidacy of Hillary Clinton. I don't plan to attend the inauguration. It will be the first one that I miss since I've been in the Congress. You cannot be at home with something that you feel that is wrong.
Well, Ed Rendell, I have to ask you this. If you think back to a few days before the election when everybody, certainly in the Clinton campaign, thought they were going to win the election, and Donald Trump was saying, you'll have to see after the election if I acknowledge she's the winner. Hillary Clinton had this to say. She put up on Twitter, Donald Trump refused to say that he'd respect the results of this election. That's a direct threat to our democracy. That was a major theme of the Clinton campaign in the closing days of this campaign, the importance of respecting the results. And now you have John Lewis coming out saying that Donald Trump is not a legitimate president. Is that a responsible thing to say?
Well, I have enormous regard for John Lewis. I think he's an American hero. But I think he's wrong because there's one fact missing. Do I believe the Russians tried to help Donald Trump become president? Absolutely. Do I believe that James Comey's errors helped Donald Trump become president? Absolutely. Do I believe that Donald Trump had anything to do with either of those events? There's not a scintilla of evidence. And until there's a scintilla of evidence, for example, to say that the Trump campaign was working with the Russians, and that doesn't exist, and until something like that exists, Donald Trump is a legitimate United States president. He won under the rules. There were outside forces that helped him, but outside forces that he up to now, we have no evidence had any control over. So I think John I understand the depth of his emotions. We both cared very deeply about Hillary Clinton, but I don't think it's fair to say that Donald Trump is not a legitimate president, absent some connection between the Trump campaign and either of those events.
All right, Ed Rendell and Matt Schlapp, we are out of time, unfortunately.